Pat Wilhelms spent 10 years as Director of Education and Outreach at Mill Mountain Theater, but when the Taubman Museum of Art opened its doors 3 years ago, Wilhelms was on board as well as Artistic Director for Roanoke Children's Theater. She bills the company as professional theater for kids. After attending graduate school at Penn State, she worked in residence with the Theater of Youth Company, and as an actress and educator. She's guest directed with a repertory company in Idaho, but now says things have never been better, working with a staff and a board of directors to provide classes and live theater opportunities for young people. In the Taubman's intimate black box auditorium, Wilhelms has directed Roanoke Children's Theater productions that include The Secret Life of Girls, If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, and Charlotte's Web. Pat Wilhelms, welcome to the interview.
Hi, Gene. Thanks for having me.
When you established Roanoke Children's Theater, did people say, why are you putting a theater in an art museum? I mean, what kind of a crazy idea is that? Just talk about getting it off the ground.
Yeah, it was really fun. I thought it was a cool idea to approach Georgianne Bingham at the time and say, what do you think about a theater being part of this beautiful, brand new place?
Right.
And
because they had the space there, because originally that was going to be where the IMAX was, so they had this extra space.
Yeah, and they weren't sure what they were going to do with it. And any new ideas that would bring the arts all together, she was really in favor of. And it would be, they kind of marry together. People, all about the arts coming to one place. Right. So it wasn't too hard to convince her.
And Georgianne Bingham, of course, the former executive director.
Yes.
And, you know, the Taubman's been through some incarnations and some financial difficulties over the last couple of years. One of the things David Mickenberg has talked about is making it more of an art center. Right. Does that make more sense, having a theater there? Because it's not just a museum with paintings hanging on the wall. Does that make it seem like it really belongs, the Roanoke Children's Theater belongs there?
Yeah, it's exactly it. Performing arts center, anything like that. I think anything that gives life and blood and energy to a place is good. And I think it's a great idea for the Taubmans to do that too.
And this is professional theater?
Right.
So is everybody paid, even the little kids that are cast in some of the plays? Or?
Right. No, they're not. You have to be 18.
Okay.
But Gene, you could get paid. Yeah, you have to be 18.
Okay.
And then
but I can't
everybody. Uh-oh. Yeah, so anybody who works with us is paid except for our youth. But, you know, we don't just have youth actors. We have lots of adult actors as well.
Right.
Designers, directors, musical directors, choreographers, and staff.
Right. Now, are you directing all the plays yourself?
I am. Okay. I don't always, but I am this year. It's
okay.
so much fun, and now that we've expanded our staff, we all have our nooks that we can really concentrate on.
Right.
So I get to be able to do that without carrying also the education component too.
Right. Now, the plays you put on, they're all geared towards younger audiences?
They're geared towards families.
Okay.
And the real thing that we are geared toward is using theater to educate. So we are educating our youth and our families and giving families an excuse to be together.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but all, if not most, if not all the plays also have, you bring in loads of kids from the schools to see these plays during the week.
Yeah, we just had over 2,500 come in to see our last show, Wrecked,
right.
which was an issue-based play about underage drinking that turned out really successful. We were really happy. We've got national coverage. We were on the national website for MAD and for Casca.
You were, for Mothers Against Drunk Driving, okay.
Yeah, it turned out very successful. We were happy with what happened.
And that was a collaboration sort of with the Roanoke County Prevention Council, where you became involved, and they're a group that aims to curb abusive behaviors in students, and Wrecked was about the effects of alcohol abuse on the family. Do you expect to see other collaborations of that type in the future?
I sure hope so. It was not just the Prevention Council, although we had worked together last year, so we thought, what can we do this year? And we're already talking about what we can do next year, but to have Carilion part of it, the Foundation for Roanoke Valley, Roanoke County Schools, Roanoke City Schools, it was huge. How many people wanted to be able to put their heads together to think what we could do for our youth?
Right, and there were Q&A sessions after the play. And,
lots of the talk back and feedback we got from kids. We knew we were effective. They got to open up. They got to talk for maybe what was the first time to be able to say some of the things that they said. And then we sent them all home with a resource card. And so that not only did they hear the information then, but they will have that information with them should the need ever arise.
And I think last year you did a play about bullying, right? The Secret Life of Girls.
That was about cyberbullying, and which, as you know, is still an issue. But I think we were effective in that way too. We had testimonials. Kids would line up after our play and say, could I speak? And they would take our microphone and they would say things like, well, when you don't look like everyone else, you're bullied every day. I would rather stay in bed than go to school because it hurts too much.
Wow.
If you're different, if you're smaller than everyone, these things that they got the opportunity to let people who may have been doing the bullying hear or see their face and see the pain. I think that was really an effective way to use theater to help also.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about that. You know, a lot of times you can tell a kid something till they're blue in the face, but is bringing them to see a live theater production, in a lot of cases starring a lot of other younger people, is that an effective way, Pat, do you think, to get some of these messages out to middle schoolers and elementary kids and high schoolers?
Yeah, there's actually been research that says that it is a good way. Youth will look at someone their own age or to feel it. When it's live, it's in real time happening right in front of them. Our theater is so cool too because it's very intimate. We only seat 175. It's like you're part of the show yourself. But when you feel it and you see it, because theater is about feeling what it's like to be someone else, I think it hits home. And you can see the damage, or you can see it in the best scenario. It changes people. It causes people to change. That's what we want, or to at least start talking about it.
How do you do the balancing act? Because you don't want to be too preachy when you put these productions on. So, is it a balancing act? Is it something when you're, tinkering with the writing or the staging of the play, you want to kind of be on that balance because you don't want to turn kids off by thinking that you're preaching to them? It's
the worst thing you could do, and opposite. And so that's why I also think theater is effective. The trick, I think, is finding the right play, and then you do your magic. You bring it to life. But if the words are there, that's the beginning. That's the first part. And so the style of the play is what I look for, and that's why, for instance, Wrecked. It was that way. It lent itself to kids were actually laughing first because the scenarios in which kids can be confronted or around alcohol is funny, isn't it? You're driving in a car and, I mean, just the things that can happen. It's the consequences that the play showed through consequences that taught the lesson, or at least showed that there are consequences for everything we do. Right.
Or images you see in movies like Superbad, where it looks kind of funny to be drunk and driving around intoxicated in a police car or whatever. Right. Interesting. How do you cast your roles? I mean, how do you send out your net for casting them? Is you have casting calls, open calls?
Yep, we do. We have two. We hold those 2 times a year. One would be in the summer, and then one is again in January. And we cast all of our plays during those 2 auditions. General auditions, we usually have 150 people show up. They come on a first come, first served basis, and then the magic begins.
And you also teach acting classes, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
All year round. Summer camps, and usually 6 to 10 different offerings per season. So there's something for everybody. Musical theater, straight theater, improvisation, comedy routines. It's fun. You've
been doing this for a long time because you were at Mill Mountain Theater doing a lot of the same things. And have you seen some of those kids progress? Are they still acting in maybe some of your productions or other productions in town?
Yeah, in the summertime we bring back kids who have been with us. They're home from college. They audition for us in January, and it's been our tradition for the past 3 years to put them in our summer musicals. And that is really fun to see kids who we inspired somewhere along the line to see them continue in it. Yeah, it's very rewarding to see that.
If someone wants to take an acting class or a parent wants to put their kid in the class, I mean, what does acting and learning lines and being on stage, Pat, what does that do for a kid, even if they're not going to be an actor, but are there other benefits they derive from that?
Well, I think that theater skills are life skills. The obvious one is getting up and talking in front of people. A lot of people have a problem with that. I think it's more than that. I mean, obviously we're building those confidence skills, but more than that, in these times when the economic conditions are a little bit challenging, to say the least, if you can tap into your imagination, if you can figure and think about things in a different way, I think that's going to be helpful in your life also. Working together to solve problems, those are life skills that we're proud to be able to share that with our youth. I think it's a good thing to be involved in. The other thing is, if you're doing something that you're putting your heart and soul into together with a group of people, you're doing something good with your time. There's a lot of things you can be doing with your time that might not be so good, but your kids are involved in something that can make a difference.
Right. Well, how did you get the acting bug early on?
Yeah, I got it in high school. I'm from New York, like you are.
Hence the fast talking.
Yeah, and the hands.
Right.
Yeah. And so in our school, it was really fun. We were a pilot program for music theater within the high school day. That's what did it. So I would be for over 2 hours a day in musical theater class in high school as a freshman, and I just never looked back. So I went to college for it. I went to grad school for it.
You went to Penn State for grad. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. And then I worked in New York for a while in Jiva, which is a well-known theater in Rochester, New York. Worked for a children's theater, which got me the bug for children's theater. And I saw the benefits of that, and I just went full steam ahead with that when I started realizing how much good you can do with children's theater specifically. I mean, all theater to me, obviously, but there's something special about children's theater.
So how long have you been in the Roanoke area, Roanoke Valley?
22 years.
Okay. I mean, what do you think is the state of live theater in Roanoke today? I mean, especially with Mill Mountain making a comeback, you've got Studio Roanoke, you've got a space, you know, at the community school now. It just seems like there's more niches where you can go see niche plays, that type of thing. What do you think of the state of live theater here?
I think you just said something great, niche theater. I think I love that we're very independent and very focused. I mean, you're never going to see Proof or Wit or you know, Beauty and the Beast at our theater. We are specifically children's theater for family, children's theater all year round, with a specific arena to help educate. I love that we have all of these opportunities. Studio Roanoke with all the avant-garde, edgy theater, Mill Mountain Theater, adult theater. I think it's really lucky for Roanoke, and that we're all it's pretty amazing that anybody can have these opportunities in a small community like ours. And I'm proud to be able to offer our niche of what we do.
Other, you know, Roanoke Children's Theater has a whole season. People can go online and find out about it. But if you're just a member of the general public, maybe you don't even have kids in school anymore, would you enjoy some of the offerings from
I think so. We do what's called Shrek Theatre.
Shrek Theater?
Absolutely.
Okay, what is that?
That means you're not going to fall asleep in our seats. It's going to be funny on one level or interesting for you as an adult or a grandparent, and then it'll be a different level for kids. We think all theater should be entertaining for all ages.
Sounds like you're having fun with this project.
I love it. Yeah.
3 years running.
Going
so
on our fourth, yeah.
Okay.
And I think it's something that we're proud of and something we're grateful. It's obviously because of the community that we're still here in these times.
All right, Pat Wilhelms, the artistic director at Roanoke Children's Theater at the Taubman Museum of Art. Thanks for coming on today.
Thanks so much.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it too.
Thanks. Our guests today have been Roanoke County Parks, Recreation, and Tourism Director Pete Hayslip and Roanoke Children's Theater Artistic Director Pat Wilhelms. I'm Gene Marrano. You can look for me in the Roanoke Star-Sentinel, Valley Business Front, and Play-by-Play magazine, and listen for me on Roanoke Valley This Week on Fox Radio 910 AM. Until next time, take care.